Now you see me, now you don't.
Magic Man.
Well, in this case, it's the Invisible Man.
You run that past NASCAR?
No.
You gonna have rabbits on the track?
Oh, I forgot about that.
You run that past NASCAR? Oh man, Ricky Bobby's fantastic. Anyway,
this movie, I've been looking forward to this movie.
I know you
because Leigh Whannell was someone that he wrote the first Saw along with James Wan, and he wrote Insidious with James Wan, and his directorial debut was Upgrade.
Which is a movie that I have not seen, and you have been telling me to see
buddy, you
for about a year. It's on HBO. We're going to watch that soon.
Yeah. But, been looking forward to this.
I know you have, because I remember the first time we saw the trailer to this. And I remember thinking in my mind, this doesn't look very good. And then you were like, do you know what this is?
I was like, Kyle, buddy. Like,
and I never said it didn't look good. That was in my mind. And I was like, no, I don't know what this is. And you're like, this is the same guy that did Upgrade. You were like, this could be pretty good. And I was like, okay.
Yes, dude. And
that's kind of been going into this, I was like, okay.
Well, there's been numerous times we'd be in the theater, and you lean to me and you would say, dude, they just like gave away the whole movie.
Yeah.
And honestly, shame on them. Whoever put together that trailer, they kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, there are still some things that happen that are not in the trailer that do catch you by surprise, and it works on that level. But that was a lot of people's kind of complaint.
They should have gone the route of something like an in-game where it was you saw the same stuff every time.
But the difference is
it's the Invisible Man. But I'm saying I would have loved to go into that movie not knowing at all what I was about to see.
For instance, the biggest jump scare for me, or the biggest scare for me, the biggest fright, was that scene where she's in the attic
and she throws the paint.
Because that's the first time you really know.
Mm-hmm. Saying everything we just said, this was a really good movie.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
And this actor, I leaned to you halfway through. I was like, this director is a monster.
I told you, Leigh Whannell. When you saw Upgrade, or when I saw Upgrade,
there's some shots in this, and the way some scenes are set up where you go, like. You notice that stuff more than I do, but
it's noticeable. He does a great job.
There's stuff that happens and you go, that was cool.
I love, and he does it a couple times in this movie, but he does it a lot in Upgrade, is that it's that camera stabilization where it's focused just on the person.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's following the person around, and that, like, those are like really interesting shots. What he does well, he does a lot of things, since it's the Invisible Man, once that aspect of the story becomes involved, he's Bailey.
He's fine.
Okay. Once that aspect of the story becomes like involved about like there might be an invisible man around, he has these long takes of showing like the whole room,
and you're constantly
trying to look out like, is something gonna move? Is something because you're
and it only happens like.
Maybe once
or twice,
and
the rest of the time
it keeps you on your toes.
You were just like
it's like a game.
Yeah,
you're like wanting. And
you were heavily involved.
It's literally. I can't believe I'm saying this, but what's fascinating is him. It's like him showing what's not there is what keeps you on your toes, and he just crafted this really well. Now the story I thought was also a really fresh, interesting take on the Invisible Man story, because usually the Invisible Man is kind of seen as like a hero somewhat, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in this story, the Invisible Man is a sociopathic villain, right? So what was fascinating, instead of it just making the main character as this Invisible Man,
by the end it's like, well, we won't give away.
We don't need to give away the ending. But this movie, it was an interesting take on like the Invisible Man story, because it also shows like a very abusive relationship and what the length someone would go to try and continue to abuse emotionally and psychologically abuse.
And they do a really good job of it, because there's a portion of this movie where at first you think it's all in her head.
Kind of.
Yeah, well,
I said
a portion. There's I'd say the first third, you're sitting there going, there's still a possibility. You're like, is this all gonna be
like, because what you're seeing is like, oh, it's happening to her, but there's no one else around. And I was like, I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah, like you don't want them to go like high tension. You don't want them to go that route. Where
but
it's
I was
like
like, there's still a possibility.
Yeah, and then it goes to a route where you think it's somebody else, and you sit there, and that actually kind of comes to fruition.
Yeah, a little bit,
and in a way, and then the movie continues to go on, so it keeps you on your toes.
It does a great job of keeping you guessing.
Yes.
And because of that, you're stimulated the entire time. And on top with the story being incredibly stimulating, on top of the shots being really interesting, and the way it's set up, the way it's filmed, the score is really nerve-wracking. And I have to, like, the more I thought, when I walked out of the theater, I was like, Elizabeth Moss did a good job. The more I've thought about this, she does a great job.
Yeah, I walked out saying, I thought she, out of all the actors,
she is the lead.
She is the lead. But yeah, you watch it and you go, she does a good job carrying this movie.
And it's because she's the perfect actress, in my opinion, she can play a relatively normal person, normal looking person, normal acting person, but at the same time have moments of you may be losing your mind. You may be psychotic. And in this movie, between her lead performance, the story and the screenplay keeping you like on edge, and the fantastic directing and shot selection, you walk away and you're like, this is a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
A really good thriller, too.
Good.
There are some scares. There's one in particular that it wasn't quite scary, but that is a moment in the movie where like this movie really jumped up a notch.
Yeah.
You know, because up until that point, no one had been getting really harmed. It had all been her, and then that happens.
Well, it happens, and it's in a scene. You see it before it happens. That's the crazy thing.
Yes.
And you go, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then
right as you're finishing the phrase, oh shit, it happens. And you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And that was the moment I turned to you. I was like, this fucking movie's good, man.
Well, it goes from being, it does a good job. It's kind of a tone shift, in my opinion, in the sense, it goes from being kind of a horror movie, and then she gets up into the attic, and then from almost then on out, it becomes a thriller.
Yes. But it's a thriller, but it's also, you're like rooting for her because she's starting to figure out some things.
Yes. She's becoming
she's becoming more and more no one.
That's the beauty of the first part of this movie, and why you think it's all in her head is because she thinks it might be in her head.
Yes and no.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
no.
Yes.
It is, because you are feeling the same way about it that she is, where she's like, this can't be in my head, but I think it's in my head. And then,
what she's having to deal with is that she has been told the man who had terrorized her, like literally,
But no, that's my point. That's my point. And then once you get up in the attic and she sees what she sees in the attic, all of a sudden she knows she's right.
Yep.
And then from there,
she can't convince anyone else.
No, but that's my point. It's not a horror anymore. It's not a scary horror movie anymore.
Well, it's still scary because you know he's out there.
Yes, but my point is, you feel more on the offensive than you do defensive about what you're seeing.
Okay, as far as like you're now really rooting for her because you know for a fact.
Well, she's put it together, and now she's aware of what
she just has to prove it.
Yeah.
It's still like almost kind of like I said, it's like a game of like, how is she going to get through this? And there are some wild twists and turns, both just things that happen and actually points in the plot as far as things like this movie. I told you after this, I thought this script was really tight, and I mean that in the sense it's kind of like Knives Out in that sense. It's not as good as Knives Out, but it's in that sense that there are a lot of things that come up, and they come up really kind of nonchalantly, or it's just
there's a couple things
and they get called back.
We lean to each other. There's one thing I caught, and there was
something I caught,
and we both leaned to each other, and sure enough,
it came back.
It came back.
And there's other things where,
and it's real subtle stuff. A matter of hearing conversations in background,
it's subtle in the sense that it's adding to like a character into why they would behave a certain way, or why you shouldn't or should like this character, and then it's mentioned like offhandedly.
Yeah.
And then it comes back around, and that it works very effectively.
And I agree with you. This movie is almost perfect in its execution for what it is.
Yes. I don't know if it's like perfect, like, yeah, I guess you could say in execution wise, like as far as the script, there weren't a lot of plot, there's not holes really, and I may have,
there were some things I felt like they could have done better or added.
I would have said, the funny thing is, we don't need to talk about the ending because I don't really want to give a spoiler or anything. I don't know if they could have done anything different. I told you, what
I will say, and I guess this is in regards to how it ends. There is a moment, there's a scene, a brief moment where I felt like they could have added a slight twist, or even not a twist, but a hint that she was the psychopath. But do I think it adds or anything from do I think it adds or takes away from the movie that they didn't add it? No. But I remember thinking that, being like, that would have been an interesting twist.
It would have been interesting, but I told you the way this, I've slept on it, and the way the story...
I do have one complaint.
That's fine. The story, the way it plays out, I was like, I thought it fit pretty well, how it ended. What's the complaint? Is it spoiler territory?
There's a scene that really reminds me of the V for Vendetta scene.
Well, yes, okay, then, anyway... don't reveal any. It's almost like she has a sense of relief. And see, I told you that was what I slept on and said I liked that.
And I just don't like. Was it? Am I sure she felt that way? Yes, but
think about what she had gone through, though.
Yeah.
Think about what the story she's telling. Her sister, and then like her cop
friend.
I get it.
It was that, and it was that sense of I'm free.
She's free for the first time. Like it's
like V for Vendetta, but
I think you just
how she got there.
I think you just like V for Vendetta more as a movie.
Speaking of, guys, this coronavirus and V for Vendetta, you guys better watch out.
We talked about that in a while. We were like, what if that's happening?
There's some wild connections, similarities.
Man, we're actually changing the subject of the channel. We're all conspiracies now. No, but like I think I agreed with you on the night because it kind of gives you an uneasy feeling a little bit because of how you're right, how she got to that feeling of relief.
And that was,
but the more I thought about it, I was like, I'm perfectly fine with it. I think that was great.
I think my feeling on that is the reason I wouldn't have minded that little bit, because I think it would have been, I wouldn't have minded that ending sequence even hinting at the fact she was a little
it would have been
psychopathic, and it would have given a whole different meaning to the final shot.
Yes. It would have. I agree. That would have been very interesting. It would have been something interesting, but I think it was just fine the way it was.
Oh yeah, and I don't want you to think about it doesn't. That not happening.
At that point, it's more of you like how interesting.
What do you give this movie?
Sorry. You keep going. I'm sorry.
No. My point is, it doesn't take away from the movie. This was a solid movie, and like I said, it's almost perfect in its execution of what it is.
I see. For me, though, it never tipped as good as this movie was. Well as this movie was kind of executed, it never, for me, tiptoed in that direction for me to say this is great. This is like amazing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And so, like in that sense, I would.
But I would say it's very good.
I definitely want to watch it again because the script is, like I said, really tight. Mm-hmm. So. I know if I go back and watch it, there's gonna be things that you miss.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like you said. It doesn't end and that was amazing, but you do walk away and you are impressed.
Mm-hmm. It's a good movie, and for that, I would give it a B+.
Yeah, I'd even go higher, man.
You give it an A-?
Yeah, I'd give it an A-.
I'm telling you, there's something, and I don't know what it. Maybe it's I do.
And that was my point behind what I was saying before. That twist that I felt could have happened and how I felt like it would have because there were so many twists and turns in the movie. I felt like I was at the end.
I wanted another one.
Not really. And again, it didn't have to be a full out twist. Just the hint that we only catch her side of this most of it.
She is the protagonist. You want to see her side, and you see at the very beginning her having to escape, and all the links that he has gone through to make sure she stays. She can't leave. So it's like from right there, he's a villainous individual. He's a sociopath, narcissist. I mean, he hit all the marks as far as just being a bad guy. He's bad guy.
And I know they wouldn't have gone that route, especially with the climate, today's social climate.
But it's also, this was a movie I thought did a great job of almost adapting to that climate and making it a strong, empowering movie for a female.
Yeah,
I thought it did a great job in that regard as well.
Yeah, and the fact that there was actual abuse. Like he was bad. He was bad guy.
He was a bad guy. Was there a scene for you that you loved? Like, would you as your favorite?
I don't know if there were actual scenes, but there were a lot of shots that were. I just was constantly through the whole thing. I was going, that's kind of cool.
He has a lot of cool shots.
Yeah.
It's not like I've told you this before. I think there's a difference between like beautiful shots and cool shots. This movie is just loaded with cool shots, and Upgrade.
It seems
Upgrade's
like
the same way.
Having fun with the art of filmmaking.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think he is, and that's why Upgrade was such a surprise for me because his directorial debut was the third Insidious movie, and you watched it, and there were some interesting shots, but the movie's bad. The movie is not good, and I like the first two Insidiouses a lot, but so then when he made Upgrade, it was this low budget science fiction movie, caught me way off guard. And it was basically like a darker, grittier version of Spider-Man movie, the Tom Hardy movie, Venom. And I was like, oh, man, this guy's like really cool shots. And so when he made this, I was so excited. And to see it get, for me to watch it and
the other thing we haven't talked about is
the
invisibility aspect. I liked how they did that.
Yeah, I agree too. It was technologically based.
Yeah, it wasn't like.
He
didn't inject himself with something.
It was a suit.
Yeah.
And it was explained well enough because of who the character was. It was something where you were like, I'm buying into this. And it's rational and it made sense. Like it wasn't something where it was like, oh.
There's moments too where you see the suit malfunctioning. I thought some of those shots were cool.
How they handled the actual Invisible Man was fantastic. In that regard, the movie is fantastic. They do a really good job, especially when people are getting beat up and there's no one there. Like that's really cool looking. That's what I was about to get to though. Personal favorite scenes for me. One is the one where I said really catches you off guard. I'm not gonna say when because you want to go into that scene like oh my god, you want to be surprised. That was a personal favorite because it gave me a real reaction. The other one, as ridiculous as I thought it was going to be,
was the breakout
from prison was awesome.
It's the
insane asylum. And I thought I was like, this is ridiculous, but the way it all plays out, and especially
I like the way it plays out, and it wasn't
because the people realize she's not lying,
and I like that. They weren't chasing her.
At a point, they realized there is.
It's about halfway through. They're like, oh my god,
She's sane.
Yeah.
She's exactly right. There's someone that's invisible.
Yeah.
And but those were my two where I was just like totally into the movie. But going back to what I said, between a tight screenplay, great direction, awesome acting, it's a really, really good movie.
In my opinion, we've had some solid beginning of the year movies this year.
Yeah, they're not too bad. Between The Gentleman,
Bad Boys 2.
And Bad Boys 2, yeah.
Bad Boys 2
It's been a lot of like entertaining movies. And this is another one, go see this one too. Like this is one I'm afraid people aren't going to go see.
Well, much like The Gentleman.
Yeah, and it's like this is a good, this in my opinion is a great date night type movie.
Oh yeah,
because it's like a thrilling and you can talk about this movie forever.
Oh, there's so much going on.
It's awesome.
That's the reason, like you said, you want to re-see it. Yeah, I 100% agree. You watch it and you go, I bet you if I watch that again, I pick up on even more.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I totally agree.
Like, I constantly, throughout every shot in that, you're looking for stuff moving, you're looking for stuff, and again, you only catch it once or twice, but that doesn't mean that it only happened once or twice, that's just what we saw.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree. Is there anything else you want to kind of touch on? That's how we probably should wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we're...
I mean, besides, like, the bad guy, the way he's actually going about trying to ruin her life is really effective. Like, that's something we're like, God, he's doing a good job of ruining her life.
Yeah.
Like, he is, and it's the mindset of a sociopathic guy. Like, he has things planned out, how to complete, and it keeps, it's like a snowball effect of her life getting worse and worse and worse. But that's the last thing I would say about that.
Surprise.
That was like, and that's why the ending for me was really completely justified. It was like, anyway. But that was our take on The Invisible Man. Go see it, please, because I want Leigh Whannell to continue to have a career. This guy's a monster. And we will catch you next time with Our Take.